Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and we're going to be talking about Alien Earth Episode 5, In Space No One. That's the title. But before we do, please hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and select all in the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming content. I'm going to try and put more content out, and hopefully you guys will appreciate it. But yeah, spoiler alert. And also, these are my thoughts, my ideas, my opinions on the show. Now, we thought I thought earlier on in the episode that when they saw that there was a saboteur on board, that the saboteur was responsible for what happened. But it turns out that the saboteur was just trying to make the ship crash. Specifically, he didn't intend to release any aliens, which makes sense. But how did these guys manage to capture xenomorph eggs? They would have had to have snuck into somehow a xenomorph's nest, plucked out these eggs, and brought them into the ship. I can't understand how they managed to capture any of these aliens. And it turns out that I'm going to try and pronounce this properly, Trypanoin cha oculus. That's the little squid thing with the eyeball, the one that's in the sheep in the Prodigy lab. Weird name. But it turns out that it's not a bad alien. Somehow it just turns out it's not a bad alien. But the way this is where the spoilers come in. The spoilers are that yes, there is a saboteur on board trying to crash a ship. He has a deal with the boy Wanda to crash the ship in, I believe it's meant to crash the ship in Prodigy territory, which is why it crashes in New Siam. But I think it was meant to crash somewhere else. I don't think it was meant to crash in the city. That's just something that happened as a result of it. I think that might have been just where it collided with that station. It kind of put it off, sent it slightly off course, and it was just enough to make it so it didn't hit the original target location. But the saboteur was just trying to make it crash. He wasn't trying to do anything else. And he was, he was supposed to be in stasis, but he wasn't. He was awake when he wasn't supposed to be, so he could move around and do this stuff. So we see that the captain and one other ended up with a face hugger on their face, implanting them. The captain was killed because they thought it was choking the captain, so they cut its tail off, and the acid basically melted through him, as it does. Yeah, and I think that was the captain. Yeah, that was the captain. Tang, what a creepy guy! He's just standing over Sullivan's cryo's chamber. Creepy guy. I would have liked to have seen more from Sullivan, because I thought she might have been a better character, but no. But that's beside the point. So the saboteur is responsible for crashing the ship, although it didn't crash where it was meant to. We also find out that when the aliens escaped, here's the funny thing. Now, the ticks, so the bloodsuckers, these guys managed to open their container. Well, one of them managed to open the container, get out, and spawn into a water bottle, Chibutso's water bottle. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I know it's a character in the show. But they find one of the crew members, I can't remember which one it was, notices and manages to grab it and pull it out of the sandwich, Chibutso's sandwich. It snuck into Chibutso's sandwich in order to hide, so it didn't, I'm guessing it was trying to go back into the container itself, because they seem to be intelligent. Not a problem. Not a problem. And the guy that finds it picks it up with tongs, puts it in the container, closes the container. Chibutsu then closes the container, and the guy hands her the lid that's supposed to seal it, because for some reason she's not sealing the lids properly. Then, stuff happens. I think that's around the time of the sabotage. The first sabotage happens, I think. Oh, I can't remember. It's not very memorable. But then we get Jibutsu rushing to put the containers into their stations on the wall to, for, I'm guessing they're supposed to put the creatures into stasis or something. But she puts one in, locks it in place, and then she grabs the one that's got the trypanoin char oculus. It's hard to pronounce. And she doesn't lock it in. She doesn't press the button to seal it in place. Now, while this is all happening, I think this is the point where the xenomorph is actually birthed from the other guy that was face hugged, who happened to be in love with and having a relationship with the acting captain. So yeah, fine. It's forbidden on a ship apparently. So apparently it's against regulations or against the law, the policies to have a relationship with someone on a research ship or any ship of any kind, specifically for Yutani, I suppose. But Chibutso's negligence, the I'm going to call it the Oculus, which is the eyeball creature, manages to knock the container he's in out of its place, and it falls to the floor, smashes. He's free to go around. He's roaming around the room. But at that point, I think that's when the xenomorph is birthed and has broken away and is gone. So it's a containment breach, a quarantine breach. I think it was in the cryo chamber, which makes sense. But Moreau's hunting the saboteur, so he's checking out the cameras and everything like that. He's got his guns, blah blah blah. So he does find out who it is and deals with it. But the whole time that the xenomorph is free and growing, the Oculus is actually behaving, I'm guessing, in the only way it can, because it ends up going into the eye of the engineer. I don't know. I don't think it's the chief engineer. The older engineer, because the younger one, I think, at that point is dead. I remember right. Is he dead? I think so. Yeah, I think he's dead. He was killed because it was a medical emergency. He drank the water that Chibutsu had, which has the spores for I call them spores for or spawn of the ticks, and he's got them in his body, and he's basically he starts throwing up blood, sicking up blood, and then he ends up in medical. They scan it. They notice that they're in there. They open him up. When they open him up, they realize that they're the ticks. They want for a moment they wonder how it happened, but then they got to deal with the situation. And whilst they're trying to remove the ticks, one of the ticks actually sets up, spurts out some gas, and everyone in the room dies essentially. But they're dying. The captain presses the I think it's emergency containment, which basically seals the room and sends free. I don't know if it's what is it? It looks like it sends in. It pumps in some sort of gas. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember what it might be. It might be. I'm not going to go into that, but it's just crazy. So everything's happening all at once. They're in and out of the medical bay. They find out that the Oculus, Chibutso, notices that the canister was broken in the lab, that the Oculus is loose. They don't try and find it because they've got to find the xenomorph. Tang's been put into a room where he was being interviewed by Moreau. Creepy guy he is. And whilst everything else is happening, the xenomorph gets him, which is fun. And all he does is look up and start screaming when he sees the xenomorph's face. And everyone just starts acting so stupid. But it all boils down to that Chibutso is incompetent. She is the sole reason that everyone dies, essentially. We see quite a bit of the xenomorph, very very un-xenomorph like in its movements. It's very very rubbery. It seems to be limited in its movement as well. We see it run on the walls. We see it. I think we do see it on the ceiling at one point. But yeah, it's not as formidable as we've seen the xenomorph in previous movies and stuff. So yeah. So we are Alters Chibutso, who was a security officer, a science officer, and she is just so incompetent. The acting captain is incompetent. Moreau takes over. Everyone starts dying for various reasons. The older engineer guy has the Oculus in his eye, and the xenomorph has chased the captain, the acting captain, into the bridge or onto the bridge, and yeah, he turns round, showing that he's got this the Oculus is in his eye, but instead of what we think, the Oculus doesn't just attack the captain. This is the interesting thing. The captain is there. I think it was the captain. I'm pretty sure it was. The captain is there. Instead of attacking the captain, the Oculus pushes the captain out of the way, and then I think Morrow comes in. Then the xenomorph appears, and then the Oculus attacks the xenomorph. Attacks the xenomorph. He's actually trying to help. It's actually showing that he's actually a nice alien, which isn't too bad. I mean, it was nice. I mean, they do say he's highly intelligent, which is cool, I guess. But it just doesn't make sense. I mean, the captain is pretty much the last one. Is it her name? But anyway, it doesn't matter. But the stupidity of them all. They just stand there when they're getting attacked by the xenomorph. They just sit there when they're being attacked by this and that. And this is absolutely crazy. Cutting the tail off of a creature. And the fact that they know that they call it a xenomorph, it's kind of a bit premature for it to be called a xenomorph in this show. It's just insane the way that they've done it. I wish they would put more thought into it. It would make sense. When they then we get to the scene where Moreau's in the mother's chamber, locked in. He gets up and seals it because the captain is banging on the window, and then the alien gets her. But the stupidity of this crew, it makes you wonder how they get a job on a starship, and even if it's just a research ship. That the engineers are dumb. A starship engineer you would think would be a bit more intelligent, dirty, scruffy. Yes, they're engineers, but you'd think that they would be more intelligent, but they're absolutely dumb. Everyone is dumb. The medical crew are dumb, especially the guy that pulls out and tries to remove the tick from inside that guy and sprays the gas. I mean, he's actually absolutely stupid, because you wouldn't do that, because for a start, although you've been researching them, you don't know everything about them, so you don't know what kind of defensive capabilities they have unless you know. And if you know, you wouldn't try and remove it, right? Uh, I don't know. It's just, this episode. I mean, I didn't enjoy it. In fact, if I ever rewatch the show, I'm just going to skip it. I'm just going to skip this episode completely on any rewatch. But yeah, I'm not going to go too much into it too much more. This video is longer than I expected anyway. But stay tuned, because next week I'll be doing another live. Harris will be joining me. Might have another guest or two. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's just ridiculous how they've done it. They are absolutely ridiculous. And well done, Chibutso. Well done. You killed your entire crew and yourself. Absolutely brilliant. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next, because there's only 3 episodes left. 5, 6. Yeah, 3 episodes left. So in the next 3 episodes, we're going to have either Yutani showing us how they captured the aliens and managed to get a hold of xenomorph eggs, or they're going to be heading to the island, because at the end of the episode, you got Moreau and Yutani. Yutani tells one of her people, give him anything he wants. Anything he needs, he gets it. So I'm thinking that either in the next episode, or episode 6 or episode 7, that's when we're going to start seeing them hunting on the island for the xenomorph. Because I think Yutani is going to break into the Prodigy lab, the Yutani team with Morrow, to try and retrieve their property. And I think that's when we're going to see the more action. We haven't seen too much action at the moment, so I'm thinking that we're going to see a lot more of the action on the island. Specifically in the trailer, when you see the xenomorph, was it the teaser, one or the other? The xenomorph was in that cave structure with the light behind him, and then you got the team, which are a team of Yutani people, because they have Yutani weapons. Prodigy have their own weapons, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. It might get a lot better. I always like to give a show a chance, so I've given Alien Earth a chance. I've enjoyed it for the most part up until this point. They still have 3 episodes to win me over again. But hey, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of this episode? Because I thought it was absolutely pathetic. I mean, I was hoping, I wanted to see what happened to cause all the trouble on the ship in the first place. But other than that, I wasn't expecting this rubbish. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And please do hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and select all the notification bells so you don't miss any upcoming content. And please, please, please do take it easy, take care, stay safe, and may the Schwartz be with you always.